What's up, everybody? What's up, Carrie and Rebecca?
What's up, everyone? We are back on Facebook tonight.
Apparently, YouTube and Google do not want to play nicely together. So we said, all right, we will try something different. So here we are on Facebook. And hopefully some of you are able to join in, or if not, able to watch afterwards and see all the cool stuff. But, you know, I just want to take a moment and acknowledge to Rebecca that last week we kind of had some trouble too, and we're so sorry that that happened. And oh, my gosh, we really wanted to be there for you guys, and we just weren't able to. And that should not have happened, and it did, and we hate it for you guys. So we want to acknowledge that.
Yes, absolutely. Man, we were struggling trying to get on last week. And then finally, bless Carrie, she had a freezing cold house last week. This week she's got a burning hot house because it's unseasonably warm. And either time the temperature was not helping the amygdala situation of not being able to get live. But here we are, and we are sorry about that. And I love how we've been starting out with these cards. So I'm wondering if we should maybe, what should we pick this week, guys, from these cards, these encouragement cards?
I think we're good at random. Christine's great. What do you got?
All right, since we're doing some acknowledging that things didn't really work out the way we wanted them to last week, and things didn't really work out the way we wanted them to this week at first because we're a little late getting on. So I'm gonna pick an acknowledgement card and see what we get. So here we go. And it is, when life hands you a lemon, I think we've had this one before. When life hands you a lemon, it's okay not to make lemonade right now. So I'm curious, Carrie, Matthew, how does that acknowledgement settle with kind of what we experienced last week, not being able to go live? Or this week being a little frustrated trying to get on?
Yeah, I feel like sometimes you're just in the thick of it, and making something good is you're just trying to get through the muck. Like, I just got to get through this right now. And when I have a breath, then I'll figure out if it's lemonade or lemon pie.
Or lemon pudding.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too. Last week we finally just made a decision, kind of what like that encouragement card is saying, and that acknowledgement card is, we just decided it wasn't the right time to make anything with that lemon. And this week though, we said, all right, well, we're gonna do something different, and that was the decision. Yeah. What are you thinking, Matthew?
Yeah, and definitely that piece of, sometimes it's okay too, when you do have a lemon, it's okay to complain about it. You don't necessarily have to be, oh, well, I guess it could be worse, or I don't really have anything to complain about. Sometimes it's okay to go ahead and complain about that lemon and not necessarily turn it into something positive right off the bat. You can still acknowledge it for what it is, and be able to see that piece before you decide, when you decide to go ahead and move forward. So
yeah, I think that's it's such a good piece of wisdom, and these are from these in the moment support cards that you can get on tpsnow.com. And the first time I heard that one about lemons, I thought, well, that's not what we've always heard, right? What we've always heard is what? When life gives you lemons,
make lemonade.
Make lemonade, yeah.
But I really love that just, you don't have to do that right now. You don't have to do that right now. So yeah, how perfect is that? But here we are, and we have got some awesome folks to share their story with you tonight. We're gonna first, Matthew's gonna show a little video that he created with Shelly, and then we are going to bring Susan and Maureen on. And I know Carrie has worked on some what's coming up in the world of PAC. What you got for us, Carrie?
So As always, everybody, thank you so much for sharing our content out on our channels. We love giving you free content on YouTube and Facebook. Like, subscribe, make sure you get your notifications, comment, share. We got another email today. There's a group in Austin sharing our free resources for their group sessions. So yesterday was next week we have Holly Armstrong on sub. She is the director of programs at Providence Place Senior Living in Pennsylvania. So come see us. We hope to be back on YouTube, I guess, if we behave. Yesterday was a holiday, but what else was yesterday? It was the last Monday of the month. So our friend Alejandro over on Live at 5, they actually put up a recording that he did with Juan Carlos about brushing teeth. So this is all in Spanish so that we can bridge that gap, because we're mostly English speaking here, but we want to serve everybody. So you can check out that recording, and then later this week he will do an English version so that we get everybody kind of on the same page. So check that out. They also had quite a few other topics last week. Another one I was looking at was a conversation about a deceased person. As we're coming out of COVID and we're going to see people and reconnect, how do we talk about if there's some brain change? How do we talk about people who have passed on? And I think that Matthew, you guys did that too on TIPA with 10. And I have one of the articles that she talked about from last week, and flu vaccines for older adults, hidden benefits. What else you got? What else did you guys talk about this past week?
Yeah, we continued to really expand on the AARP's article of 60 ways to break bad habits that the pandemic had potentially created for us. And we kind of went into looking at the sleep side of it and how important sleep is when it comes to just in general health and our abilities to stay flexible and aware, and looking at different ways that we could benefit by getting good sleep. And then the last thing that we covered, looking at folks when they're going to the bathroom, we start noticing folks who are living with brain change, and they're starting to have trouble with recognizing where it is they should be going in those moments, and they're going in places that we don't expect, and things that we can do as care partners to help support them with that and to be better prepared when we start noticing those changes. So check it out every morning, 8 a.m. We get on there and we cover all sorts of stuff, especially things that you guys have all asked out there and are curious about.
Yeah, exactly. So all those recordings are on Facebook for you. Tomorrow we're on Facebook with Ask TIPA Anything. You can register to be in the Zoom room and send us your questions at ata@tipasnow.com. We are also still in the early bird stage of our conference promotion. If you guys register for the conference now, you can get 50% off a relationships guidebook or 50% off the Seeing the Gems workbook. You also get a great conference gift pack. And I'm going to do it again because I love this picture so much. We want you to take pictures of those gifts that you get, especially that mask, and send them on to us at patconference@tipasnow.com, so that we can see where you guys are all visiting us from. Also coming up this month in June, we have an enhanced trainer certification happening on June 8th and 22nd. So you have a couple more days that you can sign up for that. You have to have a certification already to sign up. And they'll be looking at the first responders and EMS training. how to enhance your trainer skills with those new skills. And last, I think Matthew's got another video here. We're going to talk about Typoclips. And this month, if you are already enrolled in Typoclips, you're going to get your newest title coming soon. And I think I'll let Matthew take it away.
Take it away, Matthew. Yes, Typoclips. So some of you are probably like, Typoclips. Well, wait a minute. Isn't that like what you see on YouTube? And you're right. There's definitely a lot of clips of Typa out on YouTube, but really Typoclips are all of this content that Typa has created over time. And a lot of great content, and over the years covering different subjects, different topics. And the PAC team has been able to go in and take pieces of it and really dig deeper into some of these subjects that Typa brought up. So I got a chance to meet with Shelly and do a recording, because she wasn't able to join us last Tuesday and wasn't going to be able to join us tonight either. But we did a recording to really dive into the Typoclips and how they can benefit you, and why you would even want to do a subscription service for Typoclips versus just watching what's on YouTube. So I am going to share my screen and make sure I share my sound so everybody can hear it. And I'm going to check in real quick with Carrie to make sure we see that okay, Carrie?
Yep,
Thumbs up?
yep.
Cool. All right. So here we go. We'll watch and see what Shelly and I explore when it comes to the Typoclips and what it can do for you. Well, hey, Shelly, I want to thank you so much for joining me on this recording today. I know, unfortunately, you weren't able to join us tonight on SUP,
Right.
but you were so gracious to agree to meet with me so we could record this informational piece about Typoclips. And so just to kind of help those folks out there who really have no idea what Typoclips are, I'm going to approach my questions as a totally unaware person of like, what is this thing? So obviously my first piece would be, what are Typoclips?
Okay, well, Typoclips is a monthly subscription to videos that Typa has done in the past that were long, like an hour or an hour and a half. And what we've done is we've cut them down to 20-minute segments, 10 to 20-minute segments, with PAC mentors helping along the way. Okay. Now, these are not things that are on YouTube, because YouTube is free stuff. That's not what this is intended. What we did was, Typa's done 80 to 90 webinars in the last couple of years, right? That we've recorded on all kinds of topics. And so what we're doing is slowly taking one of those at a time, or two of those at a time, and like I said, breaking them down.
Wow. So okay. So what you were saying, this isn't what's on YouTube.
Nope.
And so is it just like you're getting more information with those Typoclips than what you see on YouTube? Or what would be that difference between what we see on YouTube versus on Typoclips?
Well, the main difference is that these webinars are ones that people purchased in the past. There were like, we had a 12 series on different types of dementia that go into much more in depth than what you would have seen on a short clip on YouTube, right? We also did one on different types of gems. I remember there were 12, because I've done some of the Typoclips myself and taking them apart. So that's the difference. They are videos that are webinars that we had done in the past that we still sell as webinars that people can take, and if they just want to take it for the hour or watch the whole thing. But what we've done is, like I said, we've broken them down into smaller bite-sized pieces, and a mentor like you or myself, Rebecca, some of the others, have watched them and decided, oh, maybe there's a good piece of information. Maybe you didn't pick this up because when you're watching an hour-long one, you can't take it all in. So
cool. So more in depth, and it sounds like it's like going into those and pulling out the gems, the really good meaty pieces, right? And focusing, the mentors focusing in on those pieces for those Typoclips and really bringing out like bringing to the surface like that really cool piece that goes into that. Okay.
Right. Like, I mean, like I did one, I did a couple of the music ones that we had the webinars on how to use music when you were not a music therapist and that kind of thing. I actually was on the recording. I was one of the people participating. And when I watched it, I picked up on tons of things that I didn't even hear when I was participating in it. So for me, that was what I brought out. It was like, oh, hey, did you catch that? Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about it that way. So it's almost like a conversation in some ways with us and the people watching to see what is it that we found interesting. Another one, we did the one with developmental disabilities, dementia and developmental disabilities. Well, since it was recorded a couple years ago, things have changed. So that's the other thing we come in with, is maybe we come in with more updated information.
Cool. So yeah, so that big difference between like the YouTubes are really quick clips and doesn't really go into depth or give you like ooh, let's look at this piece and let's see what's happening here. Ooh, did you catch that? Did you see what happened there? Or, oh, there's updates that have happened since then. So let's go over some changes that have occurred. So yeah, that's awesome. So you said subscription, and that makes me think like Netflix or Hulu. So is it kind of like that or something else?
Yeah, it actually is. It's there. We have two different levels. You can get what we call the base level, which is $2.99 a month, or you get the premium. I can't remember. Can't remember the name of it. I'll look it up in a minute. The premium subscription, I think, which is $9.99 a month. And what's cool is that when you buy the $9.99 a month, you get all of the clips that we have. And right now we're at 22 different titles, plus podcasts, plus some YouTube things. So there's a whole bunch of things in there. The smaller one is just one chapter of 4 or 5 of these clips every month, and we add something new every month. So on the $2.99, something comes off and something is put on every month. On the premium, it just keeps getting added to. Kind of like how you do Netflix, I guess.
Gotcha. Yeah. Netflix. So you have like access to everything essentially, I guess, right? That's in their library. But yeah, it sounds like that other piece, that the $2.99 one, you get some, but as things are added, things are going away. And so you have to kind of, don't have as much to choose from, I guess, right?
Right. And I think it depends on what you want. I mean, I think some people try the $2.99 to try it out. Oh, but the other thing is you get 2 weeks free. So it doesn't cost anything to really start it. And then you can stop it at any time as well.
Cool. So free trial period. Awesome. Yeah. And I know we'll share the link to where the Typoclips are in there, but I'm curious if there would be a way you could show us like, what does it look like on our website, and what we would need to look for, I guess, to be able to get into that piece.
So let me get to the screen. So you are on the main website page, main page. You go to the store to find it. And if you scroll down here, you see Typoclips subscription. That's the fastest way to find the information about it. And just give us a second, as you know how it takes to load our page. So again, $2.99 to $9.99 a month. And you come down, it's the basic and premium. Oh, I did remember, basic and premium. We're testing my memory today. So here it tells you here, content's automatically updated every month. And on the basic, we exchange some stuff. And then on the premium, you get a lot of different things. And here's a sample. And then you just come down to the bottom and choose your option, which one you want, and then you add it to your cart. Okay. And then once you've purchased it, it's under your member menu. So you have to be logged in. You go to your member menu, My Dashboard, and you can maybe edit and scroll down till you find your subscription. So when you click on, go to your contents here, and then I know you guys are going to show another video clip, but I just wanted to kind of get an idea of, you can see here how many things we have. Lots and lots and lots and lots of titles. There's actually 2 screens. Oh, and when you buy the premium, you also get the basic subscription. So you get everything at the $9.99 instead of the other. That's in essence how you find it.
Very cool. So this is great because it gives you the added piece of resources. I know a lot of times folks are looking for more resources, more information, other things. And it looked like you were saying earlier, there's a lot of topics there covering a wide variety of things that PAC has done over the years. So it sounds like definitely, depending on what you're looking at or what you're wanting, you have a better chance of finding something that, more detailed on what you're looking for in that moment than it would be, at least with the premium, right? Versus
Right.
the basic, you're going to probably be limited on those topics. You might,
Right.
yeah. So kind of some difference there, but yeah, that's awesome. And so I'm just curious if we have any questions or need to know more, or maybe even are having a hard time even once we get there, like, okay, like the free subscription side, making sure that kicks in. Who could we talk to when it comes to figuring that stuff out?
Well, basically anybody on the customer support team, but you can always talk to me. I tend to fix a lot of problems, but Laura or myself, Carrie, Keith, there's quite a variety of us. So they could just call the main help desk or go on chat, and whoever's on chat will help you or get you to the person that needs to help them solve the problem. The other thing I wanted to mention, Matthew, was if someone has watched a webinar that's not on Typoclips yet, and it's one you would like to see us tear apart, let us know. And then we'll assign it to somebody and start breaking it down.
Oh, cool. So yeah, so that piece, like what we were just talking about, if you go in there and you're like, ooh, I need to get more information on, or would love to get more information on this.
Mm-hmm.
And you're looking and you don't necessarily see it, but you've seen something about it before. You've seen a webinar before that you purchased. You can bring that to our attention and be like, hey, I would really love to see somebody break this down and dig out some of those gems. And yeah, that's awesome. That's great. I mean, of course, with PAC, it's always, please tell us, tell us what you want. Tell us what you would like to see shifted or done different, and we would love to do what we can with it. So that's so awesome. So I think just being trying to be an unaware person in the moment, I feel like that would hit a lot of common questions that I would have.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if anybody has questions, throw it up in the comments there on YouTube, and we'll grab those and we'll try the best we can to answer those. But otherwise, Shelley, thank you so much for sharing this information with us and showing us Typoclips, something that we've had for a while, but I don't think often we really touch on or talk about sometimes in some of the things we do. And so that way, when somebody hears the word Typoclips, they'll know a little more than they did before.
Right. I mean, we've had it out about a year and a half, and it's been slowly building. I mean, when we started it, we had 2 videos, right? So now we're at 22. So it is growing, and we're adding to it every month. So check it out.
So every month, something new coming on. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thank you again so much, Shelley. Really appreciate you. We're doing this recording so we could show this tonight on SUP. And as always, you're awesome.
Oh, great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, Matthew. Thank you for taking time to do that with Shelly. And thank you, Shelly, for taking a moment to share with everybody what Typoclips is all about. I think there's so much content. There's so many products. There's so much material that TIPA has created, TIPA and the team have created over the years that sometimes it's hard to keep it all straight. So thank you for that tutorial on TIPA's clips. So one of the words that I picked up on in your interview with Shelly was gems. And we have got a couple of awesome, bright, shining gems that are going to be on SUP tonight. So Susan Bone and Maureen Braen, can you come on screen? Ooh, there you are. Hey, Susan. Hey, Maureen. Welcome to SUP.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
Thank
It's
you.
so great to have you here. Yes. So I'm curious. I had the opportunity to get to know each of you separately. And it was funny because the timing of it was I actually met with you each to do kind of this pre-chat. So a little bit of behind the scenes of Straight Up Positive is when we have someone recommended to us or we find this gem in some way, we reach out and say, hey, would you be willing to meet with me for like an hour or so on Zoom just to chat about what you're doing? And so I actually had the chat with you guys 3 days apart. And what struck me at the time was how there were some really strong parallels in your stories. And so you're in different parts of the country, you are in different areas of practice, but there were some really strong parallels. And so I thought, I wonder if they come on together. So we're going to do a little bit unusual, a little bit different than we sometimes do. And we're going to just do a little kind of a panel. So enough of my chatting. I'm wondering, Susan, if you can share with us, and then Maureen, a little bit about who you are and how you got involved in dementia care.
Sure. Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. Happy June 1st to everybody. Yay, a new month. 2 weeks ago today, I was unpacking boxes into my new home in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. So that's first and foremost, I just moved to Chapel Hill from Mississippi. So it's really nice to be just sitting down and listening and visiting with y'all. So in answer to your question, I first got involved with Positive Approach to Care in 2015. And that was when I was an ombudsman, which is an advocate for people who are in long-term care facilities. And I worked with people there to help promote and help them in their living environment. And one of the things I noticed is that a lot of people that had brain change going on were not being taken care of, or they were just doing a lot of sitting in front of the TV and kind of vegetating. So that is part one of my professional life of getting involved. And I'll pause there and turn it over to Maureen.
Thank you, and thanks for asking me to join you this evening. My background is I've worked in a continuum care community for probably the last 8 or 9 years, and I just love interacting with our residents. I love their stories. I have a fondness for the wisdom that they share with us. I am a certified patient experience professional, and I found myself in a position a few years back where there were some shifts going on with my job. And because of the fondness that I have for the people that live in our community, I thought, you know what? I really want to learn how to be more relational with them and how to connect better with them. So that was a springboard for where, you know, my enthusiasm and my passion for dementia care began. And it's just been great to move forward and to learn new things, learn new approaches. One of the things that was apparent in the beginning is I'm non-clinical. And that was a barrier that has taken some time to shift over the years, but it really has now. So it's been a great learning experience and a growth experience, and continue to move forward.
Yeah, so it sounds like both of you kind of found this really strong passion and wanted to, but also you noticed that there were some areas that needed some improvement, some ways that you could bring some positive change to the world of dementia care. And somewhere along the line, you found this Teepa Snow lady and positive approach to care. And I'm always curious. It's kind of like, how do a married couple meet? Or it's like, how did you first learn about Teepa Snow? So I'm curious, Maureen, and then Susan, how did you learn about Teepa and PAC to begin with?
At the time that I learned about TEPA and PAC, I was working for this terrific supervisor, and she was very encouraging. She was starting to wind down her career and was very encouraging and moving forward and helping to kind of redefine what dementia care is in our community. So she had actually seen TEPA in person about a year prior and was really, on the hot TEPA ticket. And because of her, TEPA had come to our community. And then based on that, I was encouraged to pursue the coaching certification that I hold.
Awesome. So it was word of mouth. Your colleague drank the Kool-Aid and said, "Ooh, Maureen, you got to try this."
Exactly. And we kind of all became TEPA junkies.
Join the fan club. And how about you, Susan?
So for me, as I said earlier, I started working in long-term care, and in November of 2015, I found a workshop in about an hour and a half from where I lived, and it was Alzheimer's education and support. And I went to the meeting or to the classes, and lo and behold, Teepa Snow was there presenting at that conference that day. So that was wonderful for me on a professional level, but also during that conference, she was talking about Alzheimer's disease and normal versus not normal aging. And during that time, I recognized that my husband was showing some symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. So not only did I have the experience professionally, but I also said, oh gosh, we've got some things to do at home I have some things to do to try to partner with my husband in his journey with Alzheimer's disease. So that was my first meeting with TEPA. And since then, obviously, I've taken more action to learn a lot more to be a care partner to my husband.
Yeah. So cool. So you went there, Susan, as a professional, and then actually realized, well, actually, there might be something more here going right on in my own house. And, I appreciate you sharing that part of your story. And I know that's one of the parallels that you and Maureen both had, is that not only are you absolutely strong advocates in the dementia care community, but also have that personal experience. And so I think that brings an extra level or just a different awareness, maybe I should say. It's a different awareness to what you offer to the folks that you serve. And so I know, Maureen, you said you started with coach certification, and I think you have a couple others, or maybe one more, because that's how we met earlier this year.
I started off with coach, and then I went on to trainer, and now I'm consultant as well too. And similar to Susan's story, my story started professionally as well, and the passion just grew professionally. And then I would say probably within the past year and a half, it's hit us personally as well. And I frame it up very affectionately as my East Coast dementia journey, because I've got family in Florida living with Alzheimer's, and family here in New Jersey where I am living with Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. So
yeah, so that depth of, okay, I've been doing this as a professional for all these years, and then it's different though when it's your family, isn't it?
it's very different. And one of the things that I very much appreciated for the consultant training is really focusing on not fixing or telling people, and getting to know them for the people that they are, and coming alongside and supporting them in the relationship and meeting them where they're at. That was very useful, because sometimes we think we have all this knowledge to share and we tend to dump knowledge on other people, but taking that step back and giving them that room and the ability to process and to connect the pieces for themselves is very meaningful.
Yeah, Maureen, you actually just gave a nice little promo for our July consultant course, because I think that is one of the things that folks struggle the most with consultant certification is we've been conditioned by healthcare and the way our system works to, I have the answers, you come to me, I fix your problems, and then you come back in 6 months because for whatever reason it didn't work. Well, because it wasn't your idea, because it wasn't your solution, because it wasn't maybe the right fit. And I, as that consultant, didn't look at the 6 pieces of the puzzle. So thank you for that advertisement. And you guys, Carrie, maybe you can put in the chat when the consultant course is coming up in July. But yeah, so it's really that struggle of transforming from the fixer to the empowerer in consultant. Yeah, for sure. And how about you, Susan? What certifications do you hold?
I hold the trainer certification. However, I can really relate to what Maureen just said, because as a trainer, working with either individuals and or I've also worked with CNAs, really talking about our agenda and not pushing our agenda in the people's spaces. It was one of my big take homes, and also just helping people to see things from a different lens, a different point of view, and taking time to not try to be the fixer, the end all do all, but have people who I'm working with explore what the options are, or explore what the breakdown is, and allow them to see that they have the answers within inside them, with some tools, of course. So yeah, that's been a really helpful thing that I've learned through the positive approach to care.
Yeah, so I'm noticing, so this parallel of what you both are bringing to the table of authenticity and curiosity, which are really PAC core values, that rather than you as Susan, as a trainer, doing this teaching and telling, and this is what you should do, and this is why you should do it, we use that adult experiential learning cycle. And for you, Maureen, as a consultant and a coach and a trainer, it's all about asking those questions, right? It's about staying curious versus telling people what needs to be done, whether that's trainer, coach, consultant, any of the certifications that we have within PAC. I'm curious, sometimes folks come and they say, actually, I came to learn about dementia and how to be a coach or a consultant or a trainer, but I actually learned some things about myself too. And Maureen in particular, I know you had talked about some things that you learned about yourself across time through these PAC courses. Can you share that with our viewers?
Sure. With each PAC course, the first course that I took, the coach course, I really didn't know what to expect. Wasn't exposed to TIPA's philosophy all that much. It was a totally different way of thinking. I really had to shift my mindset to get in there. And you learn to get into a space that you're building empathy, and you're forcing yourself outside of what's normal to you, to really understand what a person living with dementia might be experiencing, building that empathy. It was it was each course that I took, building upon one. There were aha moments in each one. First course, you're presented with information. You're kind of looking at these cards that they provide for you. Like, okay, this is great information. I'll read this over. But then you take a deeper dive and a deeper understanding of the meaning behind it. And not until I just finished the consulting course did this puzzle card. This puzzle card is so valuable, and it really has a lot of information on it that I use all the time, and it relates to every single one of the certifications.
Yeah, and Maureen, you actually shared an example of kind of a situation where you were brought in to problem solve about maybe a resident who wasn't eating, and you took that framework of the 6 pieces of the puzzle to see what might be going on versus just coming in and thinking you knew the answer, because it was a little different than what people might have expected, right? Can you tell us about that resident?
Absolutely. You tend to get people saying, well, she's just not hungry. She's just not eating. It's certainly we want to look at all the medical things that are going on first too. But then when you start digging down deeper into the puzzle pieces, at looking at the environment, are there any triggers going on? Understanding what's happening visually with the person. Are they sitting at the right spot at the table? Are they distracted? Are they reaching across the table for their neighbor's food because they can't see the food that's sitting directly below them because of their binocular vision going on? So taking all of these things and sharing this with our staff now and getting them to do that mind shift as well, to understand there are other things that might be influencing why that person might not be eating.
Yeah. So someone might have just come along and said, well, she's not hungry today, or this isn't her preferred food, or whatever. And seeing like, okay, well, what does her environment actually look at? So that puzzle piece of the environment, okay, and brain changes. So based on her brain changes, she might not even be seeing her food. So wow, that's where those ahas really take place. And so you've come into this kind of family experience of being a care partner at a time when you already had 2 certifications under your belt and now a third. Susan, I'm curious because your certification process actually overlapped your family care partner experience. And so I'm curious what takeaways you had personally based on the PAC certification courses.
Well, for one, I wish I had had the certification course sooner than I had. But it helped me. So when I found out, I guess I'm going to backtrack a little bit, but promise to answer your question. I ended up participating in the Care Partner Series, the support group, after meeting Teepa Snow at the conference. So I went through that series as a care partner. So it helped me, one, to take care of myself when I was caring for Walter. And that was really important because it made me a better care partner to him. It also allowed me to recognize where the gaps were for me that I needed to learn about in caring for Walter. And now I forgot the question. I'm sorry, Rebecca.
No, you're good, Susan. So you're saying that because that certification course you took actually before, or really at that beginning of your care partner journey, and you were able to immediately apply what you learned and those takeaways into practice.
Yes. And so I'm able, I think because of that, when I work in my job that I just recently left, which was as a caregiver coordinator, I was working with individuals who were caregivers. That was my primary role. So we were able to talk about, and I was able to ask some open-ended questions to assist the care partners in taking care of themselves, and also providing resources such as Positive Approach to Care, so that people could kind of stop and pause for themselves, but also pause for the person with brain change, so that maybe if they were going down a slippery slope, they could come back in. It's kind of like the card that you read earlier, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And we can't, particularly in with dementia care and dementia, we can't always make lemonade out of everything, but so sometimes we have to acknowledge this is just not fun, and we're not in an easy place right now. And it's okay to acknowledge that as a human being. I think that's also important.
Absolutely. And so, Susan, one of the things you mentioned was that Care Partner Support Series, and I'm so glad that you mentioned that. We actually have a course that I think is starting tomorrow or maybe today, and it was actually full. It was a full course because I was working with someone who really wanted to get into it. Unfortunately, it was a full course, and that is a good thing. Unfortunately, not for that person, but we have another one coming up in July that she's going to join. But it sounds like you, again, as a professional, this Care Partner Support Series is really geared towards family members, but giving yourself that permission to acknowledge what you're feeling as a care partner, and also at the same time learn some awareness and skills so that you can provide better care with that knowledge. So thank you for mentioning Care Partner Support Series. I'm wondering, and Susan, you've actually made a huge transition. You talked about a recent move. And I'm curious though, before you transitioned out of your last job, I know you had talked about some changes that you had seen in your practice with PAC awareness and skills. So again, going back to use of hand under hand, what are some things that you had takeaways in your practice?
Well, I ended up, because of COVID, the agency I worked for, like we didn't go out. So I needed to begin getting creative with how I was going to reach people. So I did a library series, and one of the things I learned through PAC is creating, and I don't have it with me, it's in another room, but creating a hand so that I could demonstrate hand under hand with individuals on the Zoom meetings. So I had my person set up and did hand under hand with them so that they could practice that. And that was helpful for them. I also used hand under hand with my husband with eating. And so I think I was able to demonstrate to the caregivers that came into the home how to do hand under hand too. So again, it's not necessarily like you're shoving information down somebody's throat about how to do something. It's about demonstrating. So, teaching can sometimes take place non-verbally by just observing. So that was also a benefit, I believe, too.
Yeah, so you were actually able to provide some kind of informal training for care partners that you had coming into your home for Walter.
Yes.
And one thing you said, Susan, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it drew me to an experience that I had today where I was talking with a person who's going through consultant certification mentoring process with me, and she works in a community, and she said that she walked in through the dining room and she saw a person living with dementia just like moving all the food off of their table, and a care partner coming in, and she said the care partner like grabbed the woman's wrists and to stop her. And what my to-be consultant was really upset about that and said, the care partner really should have not done that. And, I jumped in and I said, so think about what we learn about amygdala responses, right? Think about that caregiver's amygdala was where when she came in when she saw the person doing this, exactly. And then what happened to my consultant friend's amygdala when she saw it? Exactly. So that awareness.
That.
What's that?
Excuse me for interrupting. My amygdala went up when you just said that.
Right. But how good can we help someone when we're here, at that response? And that's where we all would be, right? I said, oh my goodness, if someone grabbed my wrist, I hate to see what would happen to them. But what you said about kind of even in your personal experience is that awareness of yourself and kind of where your amygdala state is, where your emotional state is, where that fight, flight, fright response is so important to be in check. And so instead of coming in and saying to that caregiver, oh, this isn't how I want you to help, Walter, instead saying, here might be a better way to do this.
Mm-hmm. And just modeling it.
Yeah. And modeling it. Yeah. That visual of, oh, wow, well, that's working way better than the way I've been doing it. Yeah. Yeah.
And so people take notice of that as well. I've had staff say to me all the time, well, we see you getting down to the person's level. We see you going in with the hand under hand, and it makes a difference.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you had one situation, Maureen, where you were asked to kind of go out and do some coaching on the floor and really implementing where people see the difference. And you've really integrated this PPA and hand under hand into your organization. Can you tell us about how your staff is using PPA and how you've actually set it up as a competency tool for your staff?
We developed the competency tool just because we found a few years ago, people were just sitting like in the classroom, getting their, continuing ed hours, a lot of information being dumped on them in front of a PowerPoint. So this was one of the first steps that we took to actually get them engaged with a return demonstration opportunity. So we took it from the CNA level through our nurse competency days that they had to do this as well. So everybody became familiar. And initially people were kind of hesitant. They're like, it's like shaking somebody's hand. But then when you broke the components down, those were the aha moments of why it was so critical in relationships and meeting the person and supporting the person. Our community is grounded in person-centered care, and this is such a prime example of how you support someone and keep them central to the care and what matters to them and the way you connect with them. So based on that, we developed this competency, and we ran with this for a couple of years, that we actually had everybody go through the competency on a yearly basis. And now a lot of times I'll be on the floor, coaching through different situations. And I was thinking about that, what a good coaching opportunity that would have been today with the resident not wanting to eat in the care partner, but looking for those types of opportunities. And the staff, they'll see me come along, and we've worked hard at developing this relationship now that they are not offended if I step in and demonstrate something, and it's more of the actions, and then we'll step back and go through a coaching cycle then after that, and then encourage them to do that too. At first, it's, like it is during any of the trainer opportunities or classes, you feel awkward. You're uncomfortable doing it, but then you do it a few times and you're like, wow, this makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. And you just have to continuously get out there and do it. And it really impacts the lives of those people entrusted to your care.
You got it. It definitely makes a difference for the care and also for the care partners. I mean, no one, takes the job and it's like, well, I'd like to be a so-so caregiver. I mean, I don't think anyone really just wants to be middle of the road. Like, we want to do good, but we don't have the skills so many times to know how to do things differently. And when we look around and everybody else is using traditional care approaches, that's what we learn and do. And that's where I think PAC can make such a difference. I do have a question, Maureen, because for the lay folks out there, because the cool thing is, TIPA's fan base isn't just professionals, but also family care partners. I'm curious, can you tell us a little bit more about what that means, a competency tool?
We actually, it's almost like a rubric that we created, like a report card. With it, we broke down the different steps of the positive physical approach, and it actually asked our staff to demonstrate each one of those steps for us. And then we looked and, was there a possibility that we needed to, do this one a little more? What was going on? Why is it important to be doing it this way? So we broke it down, we discussed the process, and then encouraged them to go out and continue to use this with each interaction. And again, we encourage it with each interaction, because a person living with dementia, you could be there 2 minutes ago, leave the room to grab something and come back in, and they haven't seen you in 10 years. So it's a good way of connecting with people.
You got it. So that PPA has become ingrained, and actually similar to what PAC has our certified community demonstrate when they first get the certification, and then on the annual basis for their recertification. And this is something that us as mentors, every single staff member for PAC has to do as well, is show this competency with positive physical approach. You're saying that you too have each staff member actually demo that and show the skills. Wow.
Right.
That's really cool. So as we kind of move to wrapping up, and my dog is saying it's time to wrap up. So sorry about that. I'm curious what takeaways, because we do have a mixed audience of professionals and families. I'm curious what takeaways you guys have, and I'm going to ask Matthew and Carrie to come back on too. What takeaways do you have, either for that family member who's watching tonight, maybe something that was shared here tonight on the show, or something else that you've learned in your personal or professional experience that you want to share with caregivers who are watching tonight, care partners, professional or family?
Well, I just wanted to share that people shouldn't give up hope, because their loved one is still there. It's a different way of connecting them, and PAC is inspiring. It gives you tools to use to see that person for who they are. It's respectful, it's dignified. It values their life experience. So it's all of that, and seeing the person for whom they are. They look the same. They may be in a bit different place, but you can still have a very positive relationship with that person. And a lot of it has to do with this approach. There's a lot on the pharmacological aspect of things, but there's such an impact with the non-pharmacological aspect of things. And that's where PAC is such a strong, positive fit for people.
Yeah. So Maureen, I'm hearing you say like that, looking at what remains and what the person has retained, and not just what's lost, but also, oh gosh, my amygdala just went high because I've forgotten what I was going to say, but somebody help me. But that seeing the positive and really focusing on what a difference we can make, that we can still do. One of my favorite this is what it was. I'm sorry. I stalled long enough. It came back to me. One of my favorite TIPA-isms is, I am who I was. I am who I am, and I'm changing, And so this concept of that you're saying is the person is still the person, and we just kind of need to tweak our skills at making those connections still.
Correct. We all want to feel valued, and we all want to have a sense of purpose, and PAC allows that to happen.
Yeah, thank you for that, Maureen. How about you, Susan or Matthew or Carrie?
Well, I was thinking when Susan was talking about modeling behavior, and I think you were talking about it, Rebecca, the first time that I practiced skills with the PAC team, I was practicing with Jess. And the instruction was one person was going to be in a heightened amygdala state. So the other PAC person could approach and calm down. And it was just amazing. Like, first, just pretending to get into that amygdala high state, and suddenly you're in that high state and you're like, I was just pretending, like, why am I here now? Like, what is going on? And oh my gosh. And then having like the person come up to you with skill and they're like, hi, Carrie, how are you? And you're just like, oh, I can take a breath. And that just subconscious meeting where you are at and bringing people down was so effective. It took like 4 or 5 times of practicing before I'm like, what magic is she using? Like, how is this happening like this?
Yeah, and you were learning from a master, because goodness, Jess Pelkey is one to learn from.
Yes.
So little shout out to Jess there. Thanks, Carrie. But that idea of really matching emotion, which is even hard for us to do in a role play, because that's not how we typically think of approaching someone in an elevated emotional state. So really, yeah, learning to meet someone where they are and modeling that approach. And you learned through seeing others model that approach for you, Carrie. That's nice. How about you, Susan? What you got for us? Takeaway.
What everyone just said, I would echo that. I think one of the things that's been really powerful to me is that there's ongoing support and education and opportunities through positive approach to care, whether that some cost money and some are free to the public. And I guess I think that's huge. Sometimes I have in the past gone through training sessions and it's one and done, and you take the manual and good luck, adios, amigo. And so it's really nice to be able to continue on the journey in whatever capacity a person wants to and needs to within the structure system. So it not only with the professionals, but even people who are certified, and then those people who are newly certified have been meeting up. So it's just, there's so many opportunities for personal and professional growth, and for experimenting to see if what you're doing is just building confidence in skill sets. So that I have really valued as well, being a part of the PAC team.
Yeah, so Susan, that's actually how we met. Was you were coming on these Friday open door sessions for a certified community, and
Yes.
you bring up an important point. A lot of times folks will say, I don't want to have my last mentoring call because then I don't get to talk to you anymore. And we're still here. This is called a certified community. So I love that you were saying, there's places where you just get your training, you get the certification, and good luck. But that's not how it is with PAC. And Matthew, you're a relational guy. I would bet that kind of ending those mentoring sessions is hard for you, isn't it?
And of course, I remind them multiple times, and you can always reach out to me. You can always reach out to me. You can always reach out to me. So I say that probably 500,000 times before we finally end our call.
Oh, I love it. So what takeaways do you have? I told you these ladies were pretty inspiring. So what you got for us, Matthew?
I'm making some connections tonight, especially going back to our acknowledge card that we got from In the Moment about when life gives you lemons, sometimes it's okay not to make lemonade. But I'm seeing in this situation where we sometimes we see lemons that are happening out there when it comes to the care, especially for folks who are living with brain change. And the one great thing about PAC is it's like they give you this cookbook of 101 ways to take the lemons that you're seeing and do something amazing with it. And so you don't have to make lemonade. You could make, like we were kind of talking about earlier, you can make lemon pie, you can make lemon pudding, but it gives you these options to be able to do something different with what you're seeing and help it to be a bit better. So that's kind of the connections that I'm seeing tonight, especially going back to that in the moment card. It just is so amazing. It's so awesome to see all the shine out there. So you guys are great. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you so much. And Matthew, I really appreciated your segment on the Typoclips, because sometimes I have the subscription and sometimes forget to go back and watch them. And that is just content there for me to watch. And whew, I need to go get my learn on, because there's always some takeaway. And I loved what Shelly said in the video. Like, she was at that webinar the first time, but then when she was breaking it apart for Typoclips, she's like, oh, well, that's new. And that's how it always is with Typo stuff. So thank you for bringing light to that. And, you know, thinking about relationships, I'm wondering, we've been doing these straight up positive episodes. We're coming close to a year. I think we're at about our 10-month mark. And it's so cool that our dogs have actually become friends. So they're talking to each other now. Oh dear. Maybe they'll be quieter next week. All right, so come back next week. We've got another bright, shining gem. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you, Susan, for being here. Thank you, Carrie, for helping us get live somewhere. Yay! And thank you, Matthew, as always. I love being a co-host with you. Come back next week. Stay positive, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to help us spread TIPA's positive approach message around the world. And don't forget to click the bell to get notified when new videos are posted.